getting friended by some of these VCs on Facebook, right? Because I got pulled onto Facebook by my students who said, okay, you're a professor, we're students, you're going to keep up with us, you've got to communicate the way that we do. I said, okay, and I got on it. But suddenly I saw venture capitalists and also people who were headhunters who were recruiting talent for some of the startups who had set up shop on Facebook as well. So, encouragement to all of you. By the way, how many of you are on Facebook? Okay, and I hope all of you know by now not to have the pictures that you wouldn't want your mom and dad to see. Don't put them on, or have very careful privacy controls to make sure that when you're going for funding for your startup, you don't end up with a venture capitalist asking you embarrassing questions about the party that you went to. Stakes. So the stakes, obviously, we talked earlier about the idea that you have time and talent, and some of you may have money, or you may have friends with money. Certainly, if you have technology and you can protect that technology as intellectual property, with patents and that sort of thing, very important. Customer relationships, it turns out, are a very, very important asset. And so to some of you who may not be engineers or technologists, if you can find ways to build trust with customers so that they're willing to spend their money with you, that can be an incredibly valuable asset that you can bring to an organization. And even better, if you're technical and you also are willing to talk to everyday people and find out what they need and then come up with technological solutions to help them get the work done, you're worth your weight in gold. Because many technologists don't really like dealing with customers and people. They say, send somebody else off to do that. So that gives people like me an opportunity to make a living because I happen to enjoy selling and negotiating, that sort of thing. But a technologist who can sell and negotiate, again, is worth your weight in platinum. The final stake is in the center, and it is passion. And I mention it because as I go around the world, in many places, if you had a venture capitalist come and say, I want to make sure you can show me your passion, people would look at him like he was crazy. Say, well, I don't think we should be talking about passion. Let's be professional about this. This is a business meeting after all. But in Silicon Valley, the VCs talk about this. And by passion, what they mean, of course, is enthusiasm, commitment, desire to make the venture successful or to make the world a better place by doing what you're doing in the venture. And so it's interesting that the VCs, who are basically saying we have to maximize shareholder value, are looking at entrepreneurs who are not primarily motivated by money. They're looking for entrepreneurs who want to do something great, change the world, make a difference, have an impact, and they will, if they're successful, become quite wealthy as kind of a side effect of achieving the change that they want to achieve. But if an entrepreneur looks too money-focused, he or she will actually scare the VCs away. So it's a very interesting dynamic. So if you come to Silicon Valley and somebody asks you to show them your passion, they're not asking you an immoral or an illegal question. They're just trying to get a sense of why you really care about the business. Okay, code. Think of the code as almost like a secret password that you can use to get into a safe or get into a place where the treasures lie. You remember Alibaba? He had to remember the word open sesame in order to be able to have the cave open up with all the treasure. Well, in any community, there is a business etiquette. There are local rules of the game that you play in order to become trustworthy with the local investors, customers, lawyers, accountants, and other members of the ecosystem who are there to help the company be successful. And the code is usually implicit. By that, we mean there's not a guidebook that you can buy and you can say, okay, here's how to do business in Silicon Valley with all the rules written down very clearly so you can just follow the instructions in your home. What you have to do is actually ask people, what are things that when foreigners come, get them into trouble? Or when people are new in town and they're interested in becoming entrepreneurs, what are mistakes that others have made that I should not make? What are things that people need to do to earn your trust? how exactly do they do that? And if you ask people, they will tell you. One of the nice things about Silicon Valley is people are actually quite willing, if you ask, to give you answers. But if you don't ask, they assume you already know the answers or you're not very interested. So you do have to ask the question in order to be able to get the things that you need. Often these things are communicated in private, and they are rooted in the local entrepreneurial culture. So there are things about how to be an entrepreneur in Singapore that are different from Silicon Valley. In addition, there are things about how to be a successful entrepreneur in Silicon Valley in the life sciences arena that would be different from what they are in Web 2.0 and social media, and different again from some of the clean tech industries that we're looking at. So you need to actually think about how to learn the code in each place. And again, knowing the code is the way that you accelerate your ability to build trust with strangers, which is what you need to do as an entrepreneur. You've got to get people to bet on you. In order to bet on you, they've got to trust you, even though they may not know you very well or for very long. This picture, which we will often call mountains in the valley, helps to illustrate this. If you think about each of the industries like a mountain, and let's imagine there's a local tribe on each mountain that has Sherpas that really know how, if you wanted to climb to the top of the mountain, they could show you exactly the safest way to get there and how to navigate the difficult crevasses and that sort of thing. Each of these mountains would have different guides. And so if you think about in your own careers, something that you might do is have the ability to really know one mountain well, and possibly to be able to traverse two mountains, to be able to literally go from one mountain to another. For example, if you could get some of the things, we have examples of companies like Applied Materials that used to have technology that was only for the manufacturing of semiconductors. But then they said, you know what, we can use that same technology to make solar panels. And so many of the people at Applied Materials have now learned how to be both on the semiconductor mountain, but on the solar mountain as well. So in the course of your careers, what you might think about is, what are mountains that I think are really interesting in terms of kinds of technology or applications or industries, where if I could think of having really deep expertise in at least one of them, and a secondary expertise in another that may be related, so that we can find ways at the intersection of those mountains to do something really cool, you will have a skill set that will make you particularly valuable. And more valuable than if you only learn how to climb one mountain. On the other hand, if you simply run around the base and learn a little bit about each of the mountains, but don't have the ability to get very high on any one of them, you wind up in a situation that makes it harder and harder for you to traverse in your career. So think of one very strong, deep competency, and then another one that you really enjoy should you get tired of climbing that one mountain. You may be able to do three, certainly if you, so those of you who are in your 20s and early 30s, thinking about 3 mountains instead of 2 would be a worthwhile goal as you go through